We're going to start with a poem. It's called If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired in waiting, or being lied about, deal or don't deal in lies, or being hated and don't give hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with the triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at the beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone. And so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So everyone, I come to you as a son of God, constantly seeking approval from other men, constantly running the race without the proper target or without my eyes on the proper target. And so that poem to me speaks a lot about where I've been, what I've done, the mindset I've been trying to keep, and positioning myself to win. I come to you as a husband, as a father, as an educator, as a coach. I come to you as a friend. My name is Coach Orlando Gunn here in Austin, Texas. And God gave me an equation that didn't make any sense when my life wasn't quite adding up. So if you're taking notes today, I'm gonna be easy on the pens and pencils. The equation is pain plus process equals purpose. So if you don't write down anything else, please write that down. This is the equation for life. Pain plus process equals purpose. Now, I'll start to share some of my story, but the reason this equation means so much to me is because I've realized this is our human experience. And this is the equation that we need to make life make sense. A lot of times they say if it's not making dollars, it's not making sense. If you don't look at your life in these ways, it may not make sense. So we start with pain. And the reason is, if you think about your life, I think about my wife. She just brought in life to this life, and her name is Lila. Lila is 1 year old, and the entire 9-month experience was a bunch of moans and groans. And so the fact that I'm looking at each and every one of you here, that means somebody went through 7 to 9 months until you came to term of moans and groans and discomfort and swelling. And so just the essence, the birth of life requires pain. But then we talk about our spiritual journey. The thing about building a relationship with God and Jesus Christ is you are going to have to reach a moment of brokenness. Now, unfortunately, I hate to tell you all this, sometimes you will have several seasons of brokenness. But each one of those seasons has a reason. And for me, it started as a young kid chasing big dreams. Growing up, I used to play my father in Madden, and some of you may remember John Madden, famous sports broadcaster, and he created a video game. And in that video game, I got to play an NFL running back. Now, at the time, I was probably 7 years old. I had never beaten my dad in anything. And so we hop on the controller sticks, and that was our ritual every Monday night, every Thursday night after school. And so on this particular night, I had just finished watching MTV Cribs. Now, MTV used to be a really popular show where they would show the cribs and houses and the opulence of those who are wealthy, we'll just say famous and wealthy. And so as a kid, I looked around and I would compare the things that I had to the things I saw on MTV Cribs, these beautiful houses, the Bentleys, the mansions, and all the oddities that are within their homes. And I would compare it to the things that I see behind me, and it didn't look the same. It wasn't as big, it wasn't as illustrious. And I thought to myself, man, what if? What if I could make it to that stage and pay my parents back for all that they've done and just get them one of those MTV Cribs? And before I knew it, that was something I gravitated toward for a very long time. That was a very small seed that was rooted deep inside my soul. And unbeknownst to me, I started to live my life in that direction, trying to find a way to find significance within those things. And so that led to about 12 to 15 years of a journey of playing football. And in all honesty, I thought I was going to the NFL. Now, I will say I got kind of close. I actually walked on at Louisiana State University, where I helped the LSU Tigers win a national championship. And for me, that was one of the most beautiful experiences in life, because it was an accumulation of all these hopes and dreams and hard work and determination put into one simple vehicle and one simple direction. But the pain of being a football student athlete is incredible. The pain of being a walk-on student athlete might even be worse. Pain is a prerequisite to our sport. You must sweat, you must grind, you must fail consistently. You must go through contact, hit after hit after hit. A man falls 7 times. Hopefully he gets up 8, right? I had to endure a lot of pain as a walk-on student athlete, but that was just the appetizer. So I would graduate from Louisiana State University, having become a national champion. Prior to that, I was an academic All-American. I was a male student athlete volunteer of the year, helping my community, doing a lot of public speaking. And if you're noticing, it's all these titles that I would wear along the way, thinking that I had earned something, thinking that they made my self-worth. And so upon graduation and doing all this community outreach work, I was selected to serve at the NCAA, and they are the governing body of college sports. And in that role, I had the opportunity to create commercials and do a lot of community outreach. And after that, I was encouraged to get my master's degree at the University of Central Florida. And there, we did a lot more community outreach work, a lot more working with sports and entertainment. And I started to build this facade, or this brand, or this false identity. All these things were stacking up on a wall that was based not on a foundation of solid rock, but a foundation of quicksand. And I'm explaining this because the fall is going to be even greater when I finally get there, so you can understand the gravity of the pain that I was about to go through. So I graduated from UCF, having done all these classes, making the cut, making the grades, being a national champion, making an awesome first big boy job at the NCAA. And then I actually land a job for the Miami Dolphins, the NFL's Miami Dolphins. However, I'm not playing. I wasn't drafted. I'm in sales and marketing. And so for me, of course, it's a culture shock. It's an ego shock as well. But if I look back, when I asked God about making it to the NFL, I made it to the NFL. It wasn't exactly what I expected. I expected to be in the jersey, running out of the tunnel, 75,000 fans, smoke, the flyover, the cheerleaders. I expected all that. Instead, I was in a suit similar to this, and I was helping people get into the game, and I was selling tickets and putting on awesome events, and making sure everybody else had a good time. And so one day, after this triumph, this journey, a game ends, the season's almost coming to an end. I started to look back and analyze my life. How did I get here? What's going on? And the truth of the matter was, I started to look back at the seed that started everything, this seed that grew to this false identity. I started to realize that my worth was in the identity of sports and entertainment. My worth was in the identity of football. My worth was in the identity of the eyes of other men, not what God said about me. And then the worst of worst happens. I end up getting robbed 3 times in Miami. I end up hating my job. I'm stuck to a cubicle and and a phone, and I'm sitting there 7 days a week. I've run out of money. I've gone broke. I'm homeless, but yet I have two master's degrees. How do I end up 25 with a dual master's degree, homeless, and wondering what happened? And it's the little things. It's the little things that we ignore, the little things that we know, but we act like we don't know. It's the little things that start to eat away at who you are and where you're headed and the direction that you should be going in. It's the little things that we ignore that ultimately uproot us, and they start to create something I call brokenness. And the thing was, it had to get very loud and then very quiet in my spirit and in my soul for God to get me to sit still. Because like New York, Miami is also a city that doesn't sleep. And there's something you can get into every waking hour of the day. And essentially, that was me. I was so busy chasing the money, the cars, the clothes, the women, all the materialistic things you can think of in this life. And so on this rainy night, I'm homeless. I had just been robbed from my roommate who stole my national championship rings. And to me, the world is coming to an end. I no longer love the dream job. I'm no longer in the presence of the high and mighty or the wealthy or the LeBrons of the world. I am under a dining room table under at my best friend's house on an air mattress, looking at the ceiling, wondering what happened. All the accolades, all the titles, all the things I thought that made me, made me a man, were no longer serving me in this space and place in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, I had hit rock bottom as a 27-year-old. And so on that air mattress, God whispered to me, be still and know. I looked around on the air mattress and I thought somebody else was in the room. I was the only one living in the dining room at the time. I was on the air mattress by myself under a dining room table, and God whispered, be still and know I am God, and go home. So I did just that. I made one phone call to my mother, another phone call to a really good friend of mine by the name of Tommy Harris, who played for the Chicago Bears. And in a joint effort, they helped me get myself back home. That was my brokenness. God had to strip all the distractions away from me, break me down to a place where I was barren, where I was looking for an opportunity to serve Him and only Him and hear from Him and nothing and no one else. And so that actually led to me living a career for the next 10 years in both sports, education, but also with kids. And those were my passions. A lot of times we can ignore the things that have been speaking or reverberating in our soul because we're so distracted by the other things in this world. So again, God had to get me quiet, get me still, and get me back to where it all started, which is my hometown of Killeen Fort Hood area of Texas. And so in that, we have the next word, which is your process. And honestly, I've tried to do it. Unfortunately, the truth is you can't skip ahead. You can't go back. You must live the process of being a human being 24 hours at a time. I'm sorry to tell you, you can't go back to yesterday. You can't speed up to tomorrow. This is the 24 hours you were given. This is the time that you must operate and be human beings. And the only space that you actually have ownership of is if you look down between your 2 feet, that's the space you're standing on that you were called to take dominion over. And so the process is about being a human being. We are spirits having a human experience. We are literally spending our lives together. So if you were sitting on the couch with someone, go ahead and look left and right, tell them you love them, give them a hug and a kiss, because the truth is that is the person you are spending your life with. And it's a true blessing and opportunity to do life together. The thing about the process is it's sifting. And so in your brokenness season, you should look back to what were the things that actually broke you down? Why did they break you down? Where were you mentally when this thing was happening? Where were you mentally when you were lost? And so through the process, you get to sift and see what in that brokenness process was actually serving you and what things were not. And so the goal is to take the things that were serving you with you in the next seasons of your life. The other thing about this process is we realize that sometimes we've been wearing labels, the labels of what our friends called us when we were little, what our family referred to us as, the labels of our communities, where they say who we are and where we are and how we act. I know if you ever live in Texas, the pride in Texas is so humongous. People take pride in this state. And then it could just be the pride of your last name or where you're from. You just have to reassess. Does that align with who God says I am? Does it align with who I truly want to be and how I want to show up in the world and how I want to serve the world? Alignment is everything, which is why the next phase of the equation is purpose. Pain plus process equals purpose. Purpose is getting into alignment with your God-given assignment. And I do have some scripture for you all, if you would allow me a second to pull these up. And so this is just to give further context on some of the equation. So here we go. Romans 5, 3 through 5. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Now, this scripture speaks to the process of pain leading to purpose through perseverance and character development. Then we have James 1, 2 through 4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. This passage emphasizes how trials, our pain, and perseverance, the process, lead to maturity and completeness. And that is our purpose process. And so, if I could, I'd like you to allow the Spirit to move you with a couple thoughts and a couple questions. One way God continues to get my attention is by asking me these questions. How many must suffer because of my disobedience? That's one. The next, what am I personally pretending not to know? What am I personally pretending not to know? And then this last thought is the magic you seek rests within the work you are neglecting. For me, these are the reverberating thoughts and questions that keep me in alignment for my God-given purpose. And the truth is, it's been a very hard experience trying to stay in alignment and not get detoured by finances, by the school system, by brands and big teams. Because God knows fame is my drug of choice. I've had to come clean. I've had to ask him to deliver me from those things. And that's why he's given me this platform to stress the equation when my life really wasn't adding up, when I was seeking to be famous, when I was seeking the money, when I was seeking the MTV Cribs experience. These were the things that he continued to remind me that I need people in the marketplace. You are famous to a few, and that's those around you, that's those within your circle. And I want to encourage you all that you are famous. You do matter. God sees you. He hears you. He loves you. You have an identity in Christ that can't be taken away. Um, you are the most prized possession. You are the treasure. You are the most loved. You are the sons and daughters of the Most High. And with that, I just want to say congratulations. You now have the equation for life, which is pain plus process equals purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, just ask. Hey, God, why am I here? What do you want me to do? Use me. You guys be blessed.
Wow, Orlando, thank you very much. That was a beautiful, beautiful sermon and message. And I'm sure Katrina told you that it's our tradition to have questions, if that's okay. You're aware of that? Okay, good. So um, as people are thinking of their questions, you can just raise your hand. I have some questions myself. So I'm going to start off as other people are thinking about it. I guess one is just an observation, Orlando. I was really struck, hit me like a dagger in my heart when you said, be still and know. That's just such a powerful phrase that God speaks to us at some point. It's mystical beyond its words. It's just so, and so it sort of caused me to tear up when you said it. Be still and know, in that moment. And so I just want to share that really hit me. Also, I do, my experience, I went through a similar, you know, not quite on the mattress underneath the bed, but we all go through what you call a dark night of the soul, right? That experience where everything falls apart. What struck me in your story, Orlando, was that you had the blessing of having it happen young. I've not really heard a lot of people have it happen young. Most people that I've worked with, it's usually like 45, 50. It's like a midlife crisis. So anyway, I just want to say that speaks to your leadership, that you know that God, you were open to all this kind of happening quickly, but it does kind of have to happen. And we do live in a culture that you really outlined where I think of what you were describing at MTV with the cribs. And we're in a generation where kids are being told, like, this is the life that you could have. This is the life. And it's the life that nobody's going to really have, is whatever those singers have in their house. And we all know how unhappy they are, but, it looks. And so anyway, it's just a very addictive thing, the titles, the cribs, the thing. And it does create that chase that I find, well, I'm here in DC, and it's in the air. It's a different crib. It's power, but it's power, money, and status, like you were saying, and it doesn't end up well. And I really love that you outlined that. And your questions at the end in your assignment were so powerful. And the one that I just want to say, the one that stuck out to me the most was, what are you pretending not? What was it? What are you pretend? Can you say that one again? What are you pretending not to see about yourself?
No.
Yeah, I find that to be like, I find all spiritual growth to be self-awareness, and that we willingly don't want to see our shadow side, and we work aggressively not to see it. And it is kind of the barrier between it. So I just feel like you did a great job of condensing so much wisdom in such a short period of time. And I'm just curious, with all that, we got to the purpose. What do you see as your mission now is going forward? Like, how's that all ending for you? And could you be famous in that role in a way, like known by many, and still is that okay? Or how do you see fame? Because I like the way you said that you're famous in God's because God loves you, which is completely true. But you have an ambition too. You have a charismatic personality. Do you see God using that in some way?
Truth is, I hope God's going to use that in some way. Yeah, and I had to be honest with myself. It took a very long time to admit that fame was my drug of choice, because even at LSU, you go from a regular human being to a superstar,
Yeah.
even if you're not even playing. Just because you don the colors and you wear the helmet and you run out the tunnel, people want to be around you. They want to take photos. They want your autograph, and it's gone in a split of an eye. And it's like, wait, 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 wait. I wasn't done enjoying that, right? So I got a small taste of it, and then I go to a city like Miami, and I'm working in sales and marketing, but I'm around big brands. I'm around celebrities, superstars, the entertainment side of things, and again, God's always had me just on the outside of being the one. And I was like, I was asking, are you teasing me? Like, what is going on? And the truth is, he, it's been my learning curve. That has had to be, that was the needle in my eye of wanting to be famous. But we all have a message inside of us. And I realize if I can just serve other people, if I just serve, I will become famous in the eyes of those people that I serve, the people that I help. And that's what I actually started to see through my classrooms. As I'm serving these students for the last ten years, every time I go out, oh my God, it's Coach Gunn. Hey, Coach Gunn, or can I get you this? Can I give you this? And it took my wife and some of the kids that I mentor to tell me you are significant. You're significant to us. And she's like, you're significant to all those students that you touch every single day and give an opportunity to bless them and just tweak their thoughts or position them to win in the game of life. And
Yeah,
so moving forward, that's the motto is I want to be used by God to help position people to win in the game of life.
beautiful. Um, Thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. Any other questions or comments or thoughts? I was scribbling notes the whole time. There's a lot of really pearls of wisdom in that.
And I want everyone to know it's never too late to be used by God. We try to make it grandiose, like we have to be famous or a superstar or change the course of history. The truth is, you can change one person's course of history through one conversation. And so, if you just allow yourself to be used by God or see the next right thing and you do the next right thing, that is a part of living out your purpose. We're trying to cut the learning curve for certain people. We're trying to help just keep people hopeful, not hopeless. Because I realize once we become a hopeless humanity, it's not looking good. And so our goal is truly to love and encourage each other, love and encourage others. And if you see an opportunity to serve and make something right, do it. Just do it.
Beautifully said. And we are in a period of hopelessness right now. So you're right on with that message. Malcolm, I see your hand up. Can you unmute? Can you unmute, Malcolm?
I am
Thank
I
you.
heard now?
Yes, you are. You're heard.
Yes, I was pleased by your choice of the poem as a prologue, the If by Rudyard Kipling. It seems like as good a piece of advice as one can offer in tumultuous, turbulent, confused times like ours. A good guidepost.
Thank you. Thank you. Love that library you got back there.
I resonated with that poem as well. Very timely. Any other questions or comments? Katerina?
Orlando, thank you so much for that lovely, lovely message, and it definitely resonated with me. I wanted to hear more about your podcast. Can you share also sort of the message and the reason behind the name?
Unbecoming Lifestyle, essentially on that air mattress, looking up at the ceiling, uh, with some tears coming down. God had given me the word of unbecoming. This is your unbecoming moment or your unbecoming life. And so I started to toil with it back and forth for a while, but I realized I had to unbecome all the things that I thought I was supposed to be. I had to unbecome the thoughts, unbecome the identity of making it to the NFL or being a celebrity, unbecome the thought of the whole MTV Cribs being. But the premise of all of it is, what if, what if this life isn't about becoming anything at all? What if our lives is more about unbecoming everything that we are, so we may in turn become who God has purposed us to be? And I'll just let that sit with everyone because we all have our own unbecoming story. We all have our own brokenness stories. We all have to live out our process of being a spirit and a human being. And then we all have to become and live out and walk out our purpose. And so the whole mantra about unbecoming is truly unbecome who you are so you can become who God has purposed you to be. And that's where the podcast began. in my brokenness season. And so I got to get back on it, and do more episodes. But it's also allowed me to pivot into pushing people in a position to win. And so that's what I believe we're truly here to do, is love and encourage each other. And by doing that, you're helping people unbecome all the labels and all the preconceived notions, but also helping them position or reposition into alignment for God's given assignment for their lives.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Any other questions?
I have one more. How do you know Jonathan Grant Brown? Jonathan spoke at our church recently.
Awesome. That's so beautiful. Jonathan is a really good friend of mine. Actually, we're from the same hometown. And I think upon graduation, I went off to LSU. I think he went to UTPB. And I heard his name from a common mentor that we had. She's like, you remind me of someone named Jonathan. And I always heard of his name year after year after year. And we never met, but we knew the same mentor. We never got to meet. And fast forward maybe 10 years later, we both get on the phone and we're actually doing the same thing and serving the same environment of folks. He was with an organization by the name of Avid, doing a phenomenal job helping change and shape the lives of young human beings. And I was an avid kid growing up, so I was within that same organization as a student, and I started to help those groups come to Miami Dolphins games. And so while I was still speaking and serving, and just because we're in the same, I guess we're in the same alignment as far as serving people, that's how we end up connecting. And then he was also sharing what he did with you guys. So it was beautiful.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's amazing how that works. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Orlando. That was fantastic. A lot of food for thought. And it's just a really good reminder that this life does have pain, and we do go through those dark nights of the soul. And when we can be tenacious through it, we can really live into our purpose, and that God has for us, and that purpose can change throughout our whole life and different phases of our life and different moments in our life. And I'm glad you're teaching and coaching and providing that. And I could particularly, listening to your podcast and hearing you today, I could particularly see how young people could find you as a wise mentor. It's a very different message than whatever the modern version of Cribs is, but it's the modern version they're getting on TikTok. So really appreciate you, Orlando, for what you're doing, and anything Church of the Holy City can do to support you as you're going and doing your work. We look forward to partnering with you and doing things with you in the future. Thank you very much.